The Clippers lost. I'm embarrassed. I was wrong. Kawhi didn't show up. He says Paul George is a coward. Says Doc Rivers should be fired.
Facts.
I mean, he's got all of these comments today, but he's got a tone. He's got a defeated tone, but then he takes that defeated tone and he turns it right into like Laker hate for no reason.
Right. So the deflection is a classic thing when you choke like the Clippers did yesterday. It's like, yeah, we accept the choke, but listen here. The Nuggets and the Clippers will be off the Clippers will be off the hook if the Nuggets beat the Lakers, which is what Max Kellerman said today. And then I had buddies of mine last night who are Clippers fans who were like, yeah, well, LeBron's not the GOAT. And it's like, okay. Like, so there's this classic deflection where you just really today, what has to happen today. And listen, the Lakers have a tough series. That's no doubt about it. The Nuggets have proven themselves. They are a tough out. The Clippers were up 3-1. 3-1. And the Nuggets still came back and win that series. So the Lakers definitely have a tough road ahead of them. But I am not going to let the deflection take away from the choke job. I don't think Kawhi's even taking that food out of his throat from choking yet. Dude, 0 points in the fourth quarter. Zero. They scored 15 points in the fourth quarter of a game 7.
No, correction. No, correction. Because if you didn't watch the game, statistically, that could be like, oh, that sounds bad. No, man, it's worse than it sounds.
They didn't score a field goal.
7 minutes, and they got a 2-point putback by JaMychal Green, and the rest of the points came with 2 minutes left in the game when they were down 20 points. I'm sorry, continue.
No, I think it's just it is one of the biggest choke jobs from one of the biggest talkers in the NBA that I could ever remember. See, the thing is not just that they choked. Listen, the Warriors had a 3-1 lead in the finals and lost, but no one talks like the Clipper players talks. No one talks like they've talked. And they got barely punched in the mouth, and they just laid down and let the Nuggets roll all over them the last 2 games. I was genuinely surprised at how easy the Nuggets did it in the second half, because we both said, me and JB said, Nuggets close or Clippers blowout. Never saw a Nuggets blowout coming, and they laid down, man. They just got rolled over, and when you punch a bully, sometimes a bully don't like to punch back, and that's exactly what we saw this last couple games.
So I said this to you guys yesterday. We all expected the Clippers to win. They had a 3-1 lead. They had a 16-point lead in game 5. They had a 19-point lead in game 6. They let their guard down. They're going to come out and they're going to win this game. But what I said to you guys yesterday was, I always wanted to see Tiger and Phil walk up the 18th fairway at Augusta. It never really happened. When LeBron went to Miami, we all wanted LeBron versus Kobe. We wanted Lakers Heat. Never really happened, right? So, I thought we all want Lakers Clippers, and we're probably not going to get what we want. But with a game at half, that was
I got what I wanted.
Game. I know you did. You did get what you wanted. And here's what I didn't know, and this is what I want to talk about. I underestimated this. I didn't get this. So I'm getting ready to go on the air last night on 710, and they've got this one guy who works up there. His name's Greg Bergman. He's like the assistant program director, but he's sort of like always around, and they're always talking to him because he's like the most hardcore LA sports fan that they've got, And he was saying, as we were getting ready to come on the air last night, and we were crossing over, he was saying, I want the Clippers to lose. And I thought the reason that he wanted the Clippers to lose was because he thought that the Nuggets would be easier for the Lakers to beat to get to the championship series. I thought that he thought Clippers lose, easier path for the Lakers. That wasn't actually the case. Laker fans, I didn't know this. I'm learning this. Look, 20 years in San Diego, and now I'm broadcasting in LA from San Diego, by the way. I'm in my house in Solana Beach. I'm not making any bones about it to people on the radio in LA. But here's what I didn't know. Laker fans, and I suppose the Laker organization, they hate the Clippers. I didn't realize it necessarily until last night. The Laker fans were rooting against the Clippers. I thought the Laker fans would be rooting for the Clippers. I want to see LeBron versus Kawhi. But that's not what Laker fans wanted. The Laker fans wanted to see what happened last night, which is the Clippers Spanosing all over themselves. I mean, just classic Clipper classic Charger. There are just some organizations that you got the talent. You seem to have the right front office people. You've invested in the right positions. You've gone out into free agency. I mean, all these things. And then for some reason, doesn't matter who the owner is, doesn't matter who the coach is, doesn't matter who the players are, doesn't matter what generation it is. Certain organizations, don't ask me why, I don't have all the answers, they just find ways to choke. And last night when I was on the air, Michael Thompson comes on. He's, you know, I love Michael Thompson, not as a game broadcaster or even as a former player. I always loved Michael Thompson as a talk show host on radio. Michael Thompson comes on the air last night and spends the first 67 seconds falling off his chair, laughing his ass off, laughing at the Clippers, and then saying something like, the Clippers don't belong in LA. Nobody wants them in LA. How dare the Clippers even act like they're in the same league with the Lakers? I was like, oh, it's so much deeper than I understand. Laker fans wanted the Clippers to fall flat on their face. They wanted them to humiliate themselves last night. Laker fans were calling the show, Alex. They're just gloating.
Oh, dude, I did an entire my podcast. It just happens to land on Tuesdays. And we did a post-game show just because we were supposed to preview the next series. But it's like, well, let's wait till the Clippers game to see who we're actually going to preview instead of just assuming. And honestly, it's layered, man. It's not just like, I think it's like JB, I think brought it up before. It's a big brother, little brother thing. And we get a little threatened by a little brother and you get all defensive. That's exactly what happened, man. It's the Lakers have been down for 7, 8 years. And that's when the rise of the Clippers has coincided. And when the little brother starts getting cocky and confident, having all this success, and they go through puberty, and they really haven't earned the title of anything. They never advanced to even the Western Conference Finals. And I think it was we look at it and as a Laker fan, you're like, yeah, you got all this hype and you got very unlikable players. And you're doing it in our arena, and we suck right now. And yeah, you feel a little threatened, and it's easy to admit that now that the Clippers are out, but it's true. Like, and then the whole Chris Paul thing where he was a Laker for 8 hours, and then they took it back, and then he became a Clipper, and he became the rival, and he became kind of an ass, and all of a sudden we hate Chris Paul. Blake Griffin was never likable, and then Ballmer buys him, and Sterling goes through, and all of a sudden this influx of money comes in, so you start to feel that threat of, oh, okay, wow, little brother is really going through it here. But at the end of the day, you still got to beat big brother. And the fact of the matter is, little brother didn't even show up to the fight. And that's why it's kind of a bit of a joke now. You're like, okay, well, we felt threatened by this team, which, by the way, they can come back next year and still be as good, if not better. But what I'm saying right now, they choked. It's hilarious. And watching them choke is even more hilarious when you see how much this particular team has talked like they already won. But now that they lost, they're like, well, we never thought we were going to win anyways. It's like everything that you wanted as a Laker fan is happening. And that could all come to a crashing halt. But for today, everything that you've wanted as a Laker fan has happened. And it's been, honestly, I had more fun watching the Clippers lose than I've seen the Lakers win. And that is a fact.